Okay, so it's that time of year again. Hopefully this is the last winterizing video I'm gonna have to make. We did get a new camper last year. It's a Shasta 26 DB. And it winterizes a little bit differently than the 17B, which was all done basically inside. We have an antifreeze inlet. It's directly under the freshwater tank fill, and it's clearly marked. There's also some the freshwater tank drain, and then the two low point drains are under here as well. And then of course our water heater, which I have already drained. But the first thing to winterizing before you even get to this step is you really need to do a very good clean out, and I mean the best clean out you've done all year. Some people have asked if you need to put pods in it afterwards. I would say no, because all you're gonna have in there is antifreeze. I don't know how they're gonna react together. So my best advice is just to say no on the pods, because you're gonna have basically a sparkling clean tank, the black tank anyways, and then the gray tank as well. Do a really good clean out on that. We bought a Camco Rhino Flex, what is it called? Like a clean out elbow. It's got a hose hookup to it and everything. And then I actually had to buy a valve that goes on the outside. They do currently make one that has a valve attached to it, so you can shut off what goes into the hose, and you can backfill your tank and get a really good clean out that way. So I do recommend doing the best clean out you've done all season before you even get to this point. Do that at the campground so you can get rid of all that waste water. And then after you've parked this thing for a couple days, like I said, I have drained the water heater already, but do be very careful, because if you do it immediately after you've camped and the water's hot, you will probably be scalded. So, but use the relief valve up top. And then ours doesn't have an anode rod, it just has this plug for the drain on the bottom. I believe both are an 1/16" socket that you'll need no matter what. And then for the winterizing part, once you get back to wherever you store it, or you can even do this at the campground if you have a little bit of time on your last day before you leave, shouldn't be an issue, because it only takes maybe 15 minutes total. But you're going to want to go inside and bypass the water heater after you've emptied it. And then you need to switch your water pump over from drawing out of the fresh tank to drawing out of this inlet, which is a very easy step. There are two panels inside, so let's go inside and check those out. Okay, so we're inside, and I've already got my two access panels off, but underneath in the big side is the water heater, and the small side is where your water pump is. When you go to bypass it, I've already turned it, but these valves will be showing in, so they're going into the water heater, and you want them to be going just hitting this loop. So you'll want to turn them 90 degrees to where they're just in line with the water lines. Very simple. If you've watched the 17B video, same deal. And then underneath this bank of drawers is the water pump. So I'm going to try to get you in here a little bit closer so you can see that. Okay, so down at the water pump in the small cavity underneath the drawers, this is your pump. This is, I believe, a pressure regulator valve. Don't hold me to that. I'm not a RV guru yet. But this blue line closest goes down into the fresh tank, and it will suck the water out and then pull it through your pump. This other blue line, it loops up and goes out the wall, and that pulls your antifreeze through. And then right here is your valve to swap from running it from the tank to running it or to winterizing. So you just need to flip this valve 90 degrees so it's in line with this blue line that goes out the wall, and then you're ready to start drawing antifreeze. Okay, so here at the control panel, we just need to turn on the water pump. If you have noticed, I haven't drained the lines. This thing works better if the system is primed, and then you'll just push all the water out of it. I did try to, I believe earlier in the year, around February or March, I can't really remember when we actually went camping, but earlier in the season, we did go, and I had a really hard time getting the system to prime because I drained all the lines out before we traveled. We were driving back into, like, I don't know, below freezing temperature, so, and I didn't want anything to freeze while we were traveling. And I did, like I said, I did have a lot of trouble getting the antifreeze to come through the system. I filled it back up and ran some water in the lines, and it worked great. So do keep that in mind. You don't need to drain the system before you start running antifreeze. So the pump is switched to sucking out of the jug outside. The water heater is bypassed, and all the valves are shut on everything. So we're just going to go around and start at the sink, go to the bathroom sink, do the shower stall, the toilet, and the outside shower. And as you can see, I've got a second camera set up outside, just shooting the tanks, and it's drawn very nicely. I usually wait till the water pump shuts off. That way it's built up enough pressure, but we'll just do, like I said, we'll do the sink here, and then we'll just work our way back. And we'll let it go till it runs pink, which really doesn't usually take very long. This is the first line. It'll take longer than the rest for sure. And then you want to keep checking on the, there it goes, starting to run pink. You want to keep checking on your antifreeze jug to make sure you're not running out. So that didn't run very much, about a quart. And then we'll switch it over to the cold side. It's back to run clear, now it's pink. And then I'll swing it over here, that way this trap on this side, I'm not sure if there's two traps or one, but we'll run it like that. System's going good. We'll come in the bathroom, do the bathroom sink. After the bathroom sink, we'll definitely go out there and double check that. That'll run nice and pink. There goes cold side. So let's run back outside. Check this jug out. Just under halfway. And then when I do the shower, I like to keep it in the bottom, that way it doesn't make a huge mess. And I believe we will probably be, this is the best feature about this, and I am going to go over the features of this camper, but we are just about to the bottom of that gallon, so we'll swap this one out. Okay, fresh jug, and we're about done. So all we've got left is this toilet. Hold the valve down until it's going. Man, that thing went fast. The toilet has about the shortest distance. It's from the shower over, it's teed just under the floor there. So, and then we need to go outside. The one thing I forgot to do is unlock that little door for that. So we'll go out back and we will catch that outside shower. All right, so this is probably one of the most unutilized features that we have on our camper. We tend to not use it. It's on the off-camp side. Once you have the water hooked up here, we've got the filter, and I connect the filter right at the end, so it hangs over the door. I don't know where else you could put it. It's just in a bad spot for us. Even off the back of the camper, you know, underneath the shower stall would probably be better than this. But you know, like I said, it's kind of underutilized for us. But the water pump's still going, and we're just gonna run it through. There's the hot side. There's the cold side. And there you go. I'm gonna leave that hang, wipe it down real good, and that should be it. So as you can see, we use a full gallon, and then just over a quarter of that one, which isn't bad. I'm gonna run everything a little bit longer just to fill up the traps. That way the tanks have plenty of water inside of them. Especially the gray tank, it had a lot of fresh water run through it. So like I said, I'm just gonna just run it until I'm out of antifreeze, and then that'll be it for the winterizing. I'm gonna turn the pump off for a minute because I wanted to talk about a few other things as far as winterizing goes. I've had quite a few questions on the matter of basically what do you take out, what do you leave in, and if there's anything else to keep mice out, and you know, that kind of stuff. So the one thing I can recommend is, and my aunt actually recommended this to us, and I can tell you that from what I could see in their camper, we bought one for Dalton earlier this year, fixed it up, and honestly, they said it sat for 2.5 or 3 years unused in a storage lot, and they were just kind of tired of paying rent on the storage unit or the storage area. But every door, every cabinet, every drawer, all the vents, everything, my aunt had bounce sheets in them, and she said use the bounce ones, don't use the off-brand ones, they don't work very well. But there was literally not a mouse dropping one in the entire camper whenever we cleaned it out. And that's, you know, that's really says something, because mice are a big issue with campers, especially when they sit for a long time. And like I said, it sat for like 3 years without any mouse droppings in it. So, so we are going to this year try this out. All the cabinets, we're going to put a bounce sheet in all the drawers, and then our heat ducts are near the floor. They're not in the floor, but they're near the floor, so we'll stuff one in there, and then we'll probably scatter a few about kind of near the openings by the door, the back door and whatnot. And then probably the biggest question I have is, do you take your battery out? Do you take your propane tanks off? And both, depending on where you store your camper, I would say yes to both of them. If you store it in a storage unit or at a storage facility, somebody could come in, and I can't imagine most people have their propane tanks locked down, but it doesn't take but a couple minutes to cut a lock, you know, cut a chain, whatever, the way cordless tools are now. I would recommend, if you don't store it at your home, to take off anything on the outside that you don't want taken. But definitely, even if you keep it at your house, definitely take your battery off. Store it inside, store it in your basement, an interior closet, whatever. That way it doesn't get frozen It's bad on the batteries, whether it's a lead acid battery or a new lithium battery or whatever. Whatever you have, the hot cold is really bad on them, especially the cold. It'll basically kill your battery if it freezes, if it gets frozen. But put it on a shelf. Don't put it on your concrete floor. I worked at a mechanic shop, and every battery we had sitting on the floor was bad. I mean, we only sat them on the floor if they were bad. So something about the concrete draws something out of it. I don't know. I'm not a scientist by any means. But definitely take your battery off. Keep it inside, and keep it off the concrete floor. And then the next thing I can tell you, because I've been asked about bedding. Do you take your bedding out? Do you leave it, the bed's made or whatever? We unmake the beds, and I have those big vacuum seal Ziploc bags. They work great. You can put like 3 or 4 pillows in them, suck them down to, you know, just an inch or so of thickness, and then I have a big plastic tub that we keep it all in the basement. It works wonderfully. Same thing with the bedding, it all goes in there. Make sure you take out all your paper products in case a mouse does get in here. Toilet paper, paper plates, paper towels, stuff like that. Take that stuff out. And then also any toiletries that you have that you don't really want to freeze, that I don't know what it would do to it, but we have a whole, it's a shoe organizing thing, but we use it on the back of the, or well, I guess it'd be the inside of the bathroom door. It just hangs on the door. It's got all of our stuff in it: brushes, shampoos, toothbrushes, deodorants, all that stuff. All the bathroom stuff hangs in there. And then as far as like your hard stuff, chairs, I don't know, anything else you got. We've got chairs. I've got some tubes for going to the river. We've got some outdoor toys, balls, whatever. You can keep that stuff in here. That's not a problem. Same thing with the mattresses. Leave them in here. Like I said, these bounce sheets are good, that we've noticed. So we're going to sprinkle a couple on everywhere. It's not going to hurt. It's definitely going to smell better than a stale camper. And then the last thing is, so we have a slide on this, and I have noticed some gaps around especially the very bottom where the seal is not sealing properly against. And I'm going to get some steel wool, and I'm going to stuff it in there. And then we'll, like I said, we'll probably sprinkle some bounce sheets, one on each end of the slide as it's in. And really, I think that's about it. Something you can do if you're storing it in the open, if you don't have covered storage, is do a nice walk around on the roof, just to get a pre-storage idea of what, if there's anything wrong with it. You don't want a bunch of snow sitting up there accumulating, and then when it thaws, it dripping in any sort of crack or whatever. So if you've got open storage, I would definitely do a quick roof inspection just to make sure none of the seals or the caulking or whatever is bad up there. It'll take, 10 minutes to do that, and then if anything's wrong with it, I think most of us have a tube or two of that Dicor rubber membrane sealant stuff. I do for sure. Just in case something ever came up, a limb fell on it or whatever and poked a little hole or whatever. And that's a good idea to have if you don't have one, is just to go to Camping World, or I think even Walmart carries that stuff now in their little camping section. So definitely won't hurt to have a tube of that around the house in case something happens. So, but with that being said, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you. This should cover most every camper out there. The distance in everything might be a little bit different, but most of the bigger ones have a sink in the bathroom, a toilet, shower, the sink in the kitchen, and an outdoor shower. Outdoor shower is kind of normal. Some of them have, I know the Shasta's had an up front wash station too. So if you have that, make sure you catch that too. The model right before, well, the year right before this one, they had that. So we didn't get it on this one, which I'm not mad about. So, but yeah, thanks for following us along, and we'll see you on the next one.